Donald Trump does a lot of stupid and, let's face it, downright evil things, like, shutting down the entire government because he wants to build a wall to keep brown people out of the country. So in the face of that, you can understand why it might be hard to notice some of the littler things that he sometimes does. And that's why it's been like 9 months since the Trump administration changed the definition of domestic assault, but no one noticed until just now. It's completely true. The Department of Justice has a section on their website devoted to violence against women. And in that section, domestic violence used to be described as such: a pattern of abusive behavior in any relationship that is used by one partner to gain or maintain power and control over another intimate partner. Domestic violence can be physical, sexual, emotional, economic, or psychological actions or threats of actions that influence another person. This includes any behaviors that intimidate, manipulate, humiliate, isolate, frighten, terrorize, coerce, threaten, blame, hurt, injure, or wound someone. Now, that's a pretty good definition. It includes a lot of the problems that researchers see over and over again in cases of domestic abuse. But in April of last year, they updated that definition to remove pretty much all of that, replacing it with a simple statement that domestic violence encompasses felony or misdemeanor crimes of violence. Nothing about intimidation, manipulation, isolation, nothing about sexual, emotional, economic, psychological actions, nothing about threats, only crimes of physical violence. So if it happened 9 months ago and we're only noticing just now, it can't be that big of a deal, right? I mean, it's not a law passed by Congress. It's not a Supreme Court decision. This clearly doesn't make it legal for someone to psychologically torture their partner. Well, no, it doesn't do any of that, but it is still a big deal. Here's why. Half of all women who are murdered this year will be murdered by an intimate partner. And most of those murders are not happening on the first date. Spousal abuse, domestic violence builds up. It's not simply a man deciding one day to beat his wife to death. It is more commonly a pattern of behavior that psychologists have identified that often culminates in physical violence. By the time it reaches that point, it's unfortunately often too late for the victim. Leaving a physically abusive relationship is the point at which a victim is most likely to be murdered. Domestic violence is a collection of behaviors, and the earlier we can identify those behaviors, the better the outcome for the victim. If a partner is controlling, if they try to isolate you from friends or family, if they don't give you access to finances, if they repeatedly tell you that you're ugly or stupid or undeserving of love, that is domestic abuse. You can be in an abusive relationship without ever being physically hurt. If you ever wonder how a woman gets to the point in her life where she allows her husband to punch her in the face, this is how. She first must be completely broken down as a human, with no outside help, no hope of escape, and with an attitude that she deserves it. Domestic abuse is so dangerous because it's a series of small violations over the course of time, where each new violation can be dismissed for being so small at the same time that it makes it easier for the next violation to be slightly worse. And guess what? That's the situation that we're currently in with the Trump administration. Yes, he occasionally loses his temper and lashes out in a dramatic fashion, and it can be easy to condemn those meltdowns. But at the same time, he and the Republican Party at large are pushing forward 1,000 tiny violations, subtly chipping away at our collective psychology. By the time 2020 rolls around, we might not have even remembered that our government once considered domestic violence to be a complicated problem that transcends physical abuse. And that would make it just a little bit easier for our government to care less, to stop funding the people who are trying to prevent this from happening, or, it might convince our government and us to allow our government to drop things like the Violence Against Women Act. When Trump is gone, these tiny violations will remain in our collective psyche. We can't just let them slide because it'll just allow the next Trump to push them even further. and to eventually destroy the progress that women have made in the past 50 years of getting the government to take these issues seriously.